Hey everyone, and welcome to the penultimate place to get your movie and TV news and reviews. This is episode 61 of the Cross Media Show, and today's topic is our Glass Onion review. But before we get into our discussion, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast service, feel free to give us a good rating on that platform. It helps us grow our audience and it helps us with the algorithms. If you're watching this on YouTube, consider dropping a like and a sub, and please do not forget to hit the bell to get notifications for all of our shows, like the Penultimate Game Show, the Marvel Mondays Initiative, and Anime Nation. If you're watching on Twitch, keep forgetting to freaking update this. If you're watching on Twitch, congratulations, you're watching on Twitch. Uh, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruben, the director of this channel, and today is a very special day. This is our first episode of the year, and I'm celebrating it with two phenomenal people. Today, I am joined by 1/3 of the movie podcast, Remember the Film, and half of I'm So Tired, Italy's biggest Matrix fan, Hugo Panay. Hugo, how's it going?
Hi, doing great. Didn't realize it was the first episode of the year.
Oh yeah. We were supposed to do one
Cool.
the beginning of this week, but something's happened and we had to shift. Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. And for the first time on the Penultimate Conquest, and apparently the first time on any podcast, welcome Tristan Morgan. Tristan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. Start talking. Excited to, try out doing a podcast for the first time.
Okay, all right. Let's hope you have a good time. I don't see why you wouldn't. Christian Macias isn't on this podcast, so we should have a good time. Let's get into some housekeeping. Tomorrow we are starting our first. Jesus Christ! It's like I already screwed it up, Hugo. Let me try this one more time. We're gonna find
That's
out.
good.
We're going to be finding out all about Lost for the next couple of weeks. Starting tomorrow, we'll be reviewing every episode of The Last of Us on HBO every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So tune in. We'll start our discussion with Eric as our first guest. And then, if you haven't seen it, we have a stacked lineup for this show. So I'm excited to get into that
Everyone's
discussion.
excited about this Last of Us show.
Yeah, it's almost as if it might be good, Hugo? That's all I gotta say.
I won't know.
Well.
I'll never find out. So.
And as always, please feel free to leave your thoughts and questions on our SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/penultimate conquest. For now, actually, Hugo, you've inspired me. Well, we're gonna get into what we've been watching recently. Let's start off with you. What
oh God. I've been catching up on a bunch of 2022 movies. Okay. Looking at like critics awards and year-end lists and stuff, and trying to figure out which movies I should be watching that I missed. Most of these I missed because just like they didn't really get a release here in Italy, so I just have to wait for them to be available digitally, or they just release late, or whatever other reason. So like this morning I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which came out of nowhere, getting like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good movie. Like it I don't know, some people, I've seen a lot of 5-star reviews for this movie. For me, it was more like, oh, this is like a great movie for like preteens and stuff, which is not a knock against the movie. Like there are very few movies for that age group that are actually good. Like a lot of the time, they'll just be so stupid that you watch them and it's like, oh, this is just talking down to children, and this one isn't. This is just very exciting, great animation and stuff. And also watched like yesterday, I caught up on Elvis. The Elvis Presley biopic.
Oh, no.
Because it's like getting nominated for all these awards. Like it's gonna be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and Austin Butler might win Best Actor at the Oscars. And this movie sucks.
I'm so glad you said that.
I did not enjoy this movie at all. Yeah, it's like they figured out the way to tell this story in the most boring, like not even boring, like because it's not boring because it's very energetic and weird, but it's like the most annoying way possible because they framed the entire story around Tom Hanks, who plays this like cartoon villain character.
Interesting. So it's
And
not
it's
even
not-
about Elvis.
It's like Elvis is not the main character of the movie, no. Like he is like the movie is about the idea of Elvis, but he's not really the main character. The main character is framed around this manager guy who was apparently like a kind of a piece of shit. But like, and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to, oh, look at this guy who was so talented and he was exploited by this asshole manager. But at the same time, like the manager is the point of view of the movie, so he sucks, and Tom Hanks is doing an insane performance, which doesn't like. There were reviews on Letterboxd saying, "Oh, the COVID really got into Tom Hanks's brain and stuff before he did this performance and stuff like that." Because he just like no idea what he's doing in this movie. I did not enjoy this. It's going to be nominated for Best Picture apparently, but I didn't get it. And that's it really. I also watched After Sun recently, which is just a masterpiece.
After Sun?
I think After Sun, yeah, it's a movie released in 2022 by Charlotte Wells. She's like a first-time director. I think she's Scottish, I believe. But the movie's fantastic. Like, it's my second favorite movie of the year.
Cool.
It's the only other movie other than Everything Everywhere All at Once that I gave 5 stars, and it's just brilliant. Hasn't been getting a lot of attention because it's like a smaller film and not really available in many places. Like even here, I had to get a Mubi subscription to watch this movie because it just didn't get a release at all. And yeah, but it's great. That's about it. I think as far as new movies go, at least a couple of rewatches of weird stuff, but whatever. What about you guys?
Tristan, what have you been watching?
Oh man, haven't had a ton of time to kind of watch a lot of things with school revving back up and everything this semester, but I did burn through the entire first season of House of the Dragon recently, which you've really got to be in the right space to watch that, get through that show in the way that I did, because I watched all 10 episodes back to back to back, and the Game of Thrones. It's exhausting, especially on TV. I never watched the Game of Thrones show. I've been reading the books, so this was my first experience with it on the screen. And performances were phenomenal, but it made it a lot more harrowing to watch that kind of just relentlessly depressing kind of TV. But yeah, it was really, really good. All the actors did great. Even the kid actors did fantastic in it.
Yeah.
And then I watched my first movie of the year last night. I went to the theaters and watched Skinamarink, which, for anyone who doesn't know what that movie is, it's a horror movie, a pretty low budget horror movie put on by Shudder. And best way to describe it would be feels very inspired by some YouTube, like Channel 5 and the Mandela catalog kind of satellite or that kind of 90s horror stuff. It's a lot of long lingering shots. I watch a lot of horror movies. It's probably one of my favorite genres out there. So I don't get scared a whole lot of movies. But yeah, this movie did it for me. It scared me. And yeah, there's I think there were 10 of us in that theater. Not a lot of people, but we all sat at the end of that movie just kind of in a stunned silence. Because yeah, so if you like horror, if you like art house, a lot of lingering shots, a lot of misdirects, very slow burn.
Okay.
But you should watch it.
Right.
Anyone who likes that kind of stuff.
It kind of came out of nowhere as well, because all the marketing for early movies was all Megan, and then this movie started popping up and people talking about it. But
has anybody watched?
Yeah, I heard about it a little bit last year, and a couple people I know who are really into horror movies, journalists and stuff, enjoyed it. But then, I didn't really hear a lot about it. Didn't see any trailers for it, so I went and watched it last night, not really knowing a lot about it, which was fun.
All right.
That was cool.
personally, I just finished the last season of Better Call Saul, and I am still like, don't know how I feel about it, and I'm just trying to figure out my emotions for it. I recently just watched Robin Hood Men in Tights for the first time, which was kind of really, really funny. Really, really funny. And my next movie that I will be watching either today or tomorrow is The Menu, which I was kind of excited about. I heard good things. I just didn't get a chance to catch it in theaters because of
Good movie.
yeah.
I was one of like the 5 people who saw it in theaters.
It was a bad time for it to come out, you know.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a really limited run in theaters too. It didn't last very long.
Not as limited as the next movie we're going to be talking about, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's primarily what I've been watching. Yeah, other than that, nothing much. So I guess that means we'll be starting to talk about Jesus Christ. I need to learn how to speak again. We're gonna start talking about Glass Onion, a Knives Out story, which apparently
An awful subtitle.
Rian Johnson does not want it to be a Knives Out mystery. He just wants it Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Which
I
honestly,
mean, that's
would
how
be
it should
better.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, I've seen people floating around like a Benoit Blanc mystery, which is like, oh, it's, whatever, Murder on the Orient Express, a Hercule Poirot mystery. That kind of makes sense.
Yes.
But just to call it like the first movie makes zero sense. It's just like a marketing tactic or whatever.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I guess it's got to be a marketing tactic because Netflix paid a lot of money for these movies, but it's gonna end up on Netflix anyway. Why not just leave it as Glass Onion?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. What's the difference? I don't
just
know. It just seems weird.
Just put his face as the little title card.
And also, like, if they're doing stuff for money, then why are they leaving money on the table by not
That's a very
capitalizing
good
on
question.
how many people want to see this in theaters? Like, it was out in less than 1,000. No, what, something like 1,000 theaters in the US only,
Yeah.
and it made $15 million. Like, which is a crazy amount.
So let's talk about that. So the premiere date was in theaters was November 23rd, 2022, with a budget of $40 million, a box office of $15 million. Directed by and screenplay was by Rian Johnson. So
Okay.
I don't know if he's our king. He's Christian's king.
He's our king.
Okay.
It's my king.
All right. He's your king. He's your king.
He's my king too.
Oh boy.
I bow down to Rian Johnson.
So I have here. Obviously, I get my reporting from all the great news websites called Wikipedia. Netflix was reportedly considering a new release model for films like Glass Onion, which would give the film a 45-day window in theaters before being released on the streaming service.
Yeah. For some reason, they just didn't do it.
Yeah. So on October 6, 2022, Netflix announced that after signing deals with the 3 largest theater chains in the United States, AMC, Regal, and Cinemark, the latter of whom Netflix had a pre-existing deal with, the film would see a very limited 1-week theatrical release, billed as a sneak preview release from November 23rd to 29th, 2022, in roughly 600, not even 1,000, 600
Jesus.
theaters in the largest markets across the United States, as well as other international markets, marking the first time a Netflix distributed film would be shown in all 3 major theater chains in the United States. Of course, after the release was over, Netflix would then pull the film from distribution until the Netflix release of December 23rd, at which point Netflix would allow theaters to show the film again. I didn't know about that last part. So Netflix...
Yeah, but that didn't actually happen. Like, the movie did not go back to theaters at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, I think it might have had some, like, very limited, like, screenings for, like, critics in LA and New York, but that's about it. yeah, the first movie made 300 million worldwide, which is a ridiculous amount for like an original film that
Yeah.
doesn't have an IP or like a superhero or Luke Skywalker or whatever in it.
Right.
Um, and for some reason, they just chose not to make the money back that they invested on this and just put it on the streaming service, which has been bleeding money for a few years now. Um, I don't know what's going on, but it really feels like these streaming services are at a breaking point where, like, there was news last year that HBO Max lost $3 billion in the first year of its existence,
Yeah.
and it's like, then how is this sustainable? That they have to start figuring out how to
Sustainable
make some
because
money on this, you know?
I mean, yeah, now they're going to be introducing ad tiers, which
Sure.
might give them some money, but I feel like, I don't see. I'm pretty sure
Like,
that's why they sold it off.
it wouldn't surprise me if like WB just got bought. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if like Netflix got bought out by Apple or Disney or somebody like that. Because
No
like at some
way.
point you cannot be losing billions every year and just like, oh yeah, but we'll make money eventually because your stock is high. Like that doesn't eventually that can't work. But whatever. That's besides the point of the movie. I'm just
Right.
like confused as to why they would not. This movie could have handily made like a couple hundred million
Yeah,
worldwide.
I think
So
it would
why
have done.
not?
I think it probably
Why
would have.
not make that money?
It
It's
probably
crazy.
would have done better than the original, which was 311.9 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very weird.
On top of the fact that they also bought the rights to
Hmm.
the Knives Out franchise. They paid $450 million and shelled out an additional $40 million to produce Glass Onion. So that's almost $500 million that
Yeah,
they decided. Oh, we're just gonna leave it for a week and then we'll pull it. And then if you want, maybe we can let you put it back out
like,
once we have it on streaming.
and the thing is, like, how many new people subscribed to Netflix to watch this movie? Like,
Not a lot. I didn't
people
pay
who
that
watch
much.
movies already have Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's I don't know.
I
Seems like a weird business plan, but
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Netflix has to. The next move that Netflix honestly has to do is just start buying theaters.
I mean, maybe they'll do that, and that'll be a way out. But like,
Like,
as of now, they seem in a weird spot because like they're bleeding money. They keep releasing cool stuff with zero marketing that just gets dropped on. Like this one did well, obviously, but like, how many movies a year do they actually market? 4 or 5? Like this year was this Pinocchio, like The Gray Man a little
I
bit.
couldn't even fucking tell you.
Like that's it. And there's hundreds of shows and movies releasing on Netflix, and nobody even watches them. So like,
Yeah, they just
I
put
don't
out the
know.
trailer on YouTube and that's about it. They're like, they don't really
It
do
Yeah.
marketing.
seems weird,
Netflix is
but
in such a weird space right now because, like, as a streaming, as one of the like streaming giants, it's still consistently putting out some of the best work, especially in like the movies. Like,
hmm
but it doesn't market its stuff, and I don't know. It's like it's yeah. they
It,
they don't market any of their stuff, even if the stuff is really good. Like, I didn't hear about the movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. I can't think of the name of it. The Western with him until awards season last year, and
last year,
that's when
yeah,
I got around to watching it. So
honestly, I didn't hear about this
yeah,
movie until you just said it.
yeah, The Power of the Dog, which
yeah,
was won a bunch of awards last year. Yeah, they keep doing that. It's surprising. It's baffling, and the thing is, they're investing so much money in original content, which is like they have hundreds of original shows, hundreds of original movies, but like it, there's no marketing. Like I don't understand why they wouldn't do, maybe 2 shows a month, 2 movies a month,
Mhm.
like, but actually market those so people watch them, and you get some cultural relevance with them. Otherwise, like you're just dumping shit on the service for who? Like especially because it's not really getting you new subscribers, which is what they need if they want to
Yeah.
start actually making. But I don't know. I guess that's beside the point of whether we like the movie or not. But
Well, before we
Mhm.
get into the movie, actually, I just want to say one more thing. Before COVID happened, Amazon was starting to purchase up. I know they purchased one theater that shut down in New York City, and the plan was all the big budget movies that they were planning on making. They were going to release these movies in the movie theaters that they bought up for like maybe I think I want to say $10 plus the concession stand stuff. So like
sure.
they were gonna make the money back. Plus everybody has Amazon Prime, so like I'm sure they would have gotten extra stuff from it. I just feel like that's the next step that Netflix has to do, which is kind of
Yeah.
hard because everybody knows for a fact there's at least one person that shares their Netflix password with at maybe 5 people. So
I'm not. Yeah.
they're gonna be cutting down on that pretty hard in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, Netflix isn't backed by, Apple TV or Amazon Prime Video. Like, behind them, they have some of the largest tech corporations in the
Right.
world.
Right.
And Netflix is just Netflix.
Well,
So
they
it's
got
not
their.
like they can just like, oh, AMC, would you like to become Netflix now? And the AMC would be like, yes, but with what money?
I
You
think
know what I mean?
what it was is that I want to say Regal or Cinemark is going to be
Mm.
going out of business soon. Like they don't have enough
They're in
money.
trouble, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But like,
S-
I don't know if Netflix is the one that would have the cash to
no, definitely
buy
not.
that. You
I'm
know what I
just
mean?
saying like to just buy small theaters here and there.
Yeah, it's complicated. We'll
Yeah.
see. Like, I think in the next few years, the streaming world might look very different than it does now.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
It'd be weird to see how it all shakes out for sure.
Yeah.
definitely. Do you want to talk about the movie?
Yeah, that'd be really great. That'd be really great.
Maybe we should do that.
So I have one question for you here. Let's to start off the conversation. Did you like Knives Out, the first one? Hugo, let's start off with you.
I love Knives Out. I saw it in. I was living in another town, but they were doing. There was a small theater that did every movie in English, because a lot of movies that I see in theaters here in Italy, I unfortunately have to see them dubbed, which kind of sucks. And I saw Knives Out, and we didn't know much about it other than, oh, Ryan Johnson directing a murder mystery movie. Like, there wasn't, like, even the trailer was kind of vague of what the movie was going to be, and it seemed very conventional, and it wasn't conventional. It was like very weirdly structured in a fun way. It had that central point of view character of played by Ana de Armas, and it was dealing with issues about immigration and how undocumented people living in the US might find themselves in tricky situations for no fault of their own, and it was just also plain fun, which is something that you don't really get as many, sort of mid-budget, big cool casts just doing a fun movie as much right now. And
Right.
yeah, so I thought Knives Out was delightful.
Okay. Tristan, what about you?
God, yeah, I love Knives Out. I got the experience of I went and watched it late at night with a buddy of mine, and it was the first time I'd done it in a long time. We just sat in the movie theater parking lot just talking about the movie for 2 hours. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning by the time we left the movie theater parking lot. And everything Hugo said, I agree. It's a good movie. It is just a fun movie, and it has this charm to it that's hard to put into words that I haven't seen in movies in a long time, and it kept me thinking about that movie, even though it was a relatively like light movie. It's not like there's some good commentary on stuff like Hugo said with immigration and undocumented labor and all that kind of stuff, but it's not a movie that's intended to make people like, it's not supposed to be some sweeping commentary kind of movie, but it still managed to be one of the movies I thought about throughout that year. I think it came out, was it 2018, 2019, somewhere
19.
around there.
18.
But,
No,
think.
19. Yeah. 19.
but yeah,
I think.
incredible movie. Loved it.
What about you, Ruben?
I had seen this movie twice. My first time, I was hesitant with my watching this movie because Ryan Johnson was attached to it. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I had to say it. But I really
the
loved
stream.
it.
Uses, please.
I loved it. I thought it was a really, really good movie. I was confused as to how they like it was a whodunit, but it wasn't a traditional whodunit, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of caught me off guard. I would have preferred a traditional whodunit, like Glass Onion was. I'm gonna say this right now. I loved Glass Onion better than I did Knives Out. Then I took my fiance to go see it, and she was like stuck on this one thing that kind of ruined the whole movie for me. So I am not going to do that to you guys, just because you like the movie. I'm going to let you continue to like the movie.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought it was okay. I would have preferred it to be a traditional whodunit than what it was. But yeah, I'm gonna assume that we all like Glass Onion. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, didn't I don't think I loved it as much as the first one, just because like I think structurally it's ultimately quite similar. Like it does, it does the little reversal where the point of view at some point in the movie changes. You have Benoit Blanc coming in a situation where it's one location, and there's a point of view character who initially is the detective, but then there's another character that comes into play and is kind of the emotional core of the movie. Like it structurally it felt quite similar, but like it's delivered so well and it's so fun to watch, and just the writing is so entertaining that it didn't really detract as much from it. I just didn't like it as much as the first one. But I really loved both.
Right. We have Christian Macias in the chat, and I don't know why this guy's in here.
Never heard of him.
He's just really
who's
bad.
that?
Who?
This guy that is on this podcast sometimes. He just says common Ruben L. And you know what? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, because a common Christian L is like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 wasn't a good movie. So it's like, there's this mic. Anyway, I
didn't watch it, so I can't comment on that. Can't take a side.
Hugo, if you think Everything Everywhere All at Once was a great movie, like, you have yet to see prime cinema. Okay, that's all.
Right.
I'll say. That's all.
The
I'll say.
Sonic 2
Movie of the year 2022.
Yeah, I heard it's actually getting the Oscar for movie of the year, but that's
Yeah, it's actually getting the Oscar for movie of the decade.
Yeah.
It's their whole
some
new
might
category
say
dedicated
movie
to
of
Sonic.
this century and last century. That's all.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the story. Let's dive a little deeper. It was, the trailers for this movie definitely threw me off. Like, it just threw me completely off, and I like that. I love when a trailer just like lets me think of one thing. It's the common Marvel thing. Like, oh, we're gonna just fuck with the trailer and have you think one thing, and in reality, it's gonna be the complete opposite. The story for this movie, I was intrigued by. Like, it was just this random guy who was a millionaire or a famous person who, according to him, is what was the term that he used for the group?
Oh, the Disruptors.
The Disruptors, yes. Phenomenal, phenomenal. The Disruptors of Society. And I'm going to be honest with you, that kind of fell a little flat. Like, once they started getting into it, I was wondering how the COVID thing was going to, like, okay, they introduced the COVID aspect, and I was like, are we just going to wear masks this whole entire time? Is that...
No,
No, yeah,
this
yeah.
guy has This guy is so rich that he made a magical gun that can cure COVID.
Yeah, apparently, which is great. And like, I didn't have to think about it. It was just a magical cure for COVID, and I was okay with it.
Sure.
I'm talking too much here. What were your thoughts on the story, Tristan? Let's start
Yeah.
with you.
So coming off of Knives Out, this movie was kind of more of a known quantity to me at that point because, like, as sequels always tend to be, you get the lightning in a bottle that is the first movie. You don't know what you're getting into. You got the surprise value, which works really well for a mystery film. Um, I don't think it really detracted from Glass Onion at all. I should say I kind of got because these movies ride on a twist ending. All good mystery movies have sort of
Tristan, you're
wow
cutting out
moment,
a
right?
little bit.
This. Oh, sorry. Give me. Okay, is it good now?
Yeah,
Seems so, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's
My
all right.
internet's spotty.
That's all right.
Where was I? Mystery movies they always have a moment of, oh, that's what happened, right? And unfortunately, I kind of got that spoil for me for this movie,
Oh,
which
that
for the
sucks.
most part, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't tend to care about spoilers too much, right? I like to see where we go more than the end point itself, so it doesn't really upset me too much. And so, but even with knowing somewhat, like, I didn't know every twist and turn, right? But even knowing somewhat of what happened, it still didn't detract from my enjoyment of the movie. I think partially that's because actually a big part of it was so the first movie was focused on Ana de Armas's character,
Yeah.
and Benoit Blanc was the supporting character in that film versus Glass Onion, where Benoit Blanc takes center stage, and the whole movie is more about his process and who he is as a character rather
In the
than the
first half,
central.
right?
Yeah, I think even throughout the end of the movie, it starts to become Janelle Monáe's character more, but it never stops centering Benoit Blanc.
Yeah.
And because of that, the movie is less about the mystery itself and more about the characters within the mystery, which I thought was, and Knives Out did it as well, but this movie had to rely more on that because I think Ryan Johnson knew that people coming into this as a sequel, so he knew what people were expecting out of it already, so he used the characters as a sort of balancing board with that.
And also, like, the whole way it's kind of commenting on these, like, self-professed, like, Tony Starks of the world, and
Yeah.
like people who think, oh, I'm the tech billionaire, I'm such a genius, I'm gonna be able to accomplish anything and change humanity. And ultimately, like, the movie's kind of telling them, oh yeah, but like the actual individual are probably just dumbasses who have a lot of money to throw at actual people doing the work.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like, there's the whole moment where Benoit Blanc is like, "Oh, turns out this, genius billionaire is like a kind of an idiot,"
Perfect.
like,
Perfect.
it's an incredible, like, even I like how the movie is kind of hinting at it. Like, you don't know until you get there's one point where you get the flashbacks and it explains everything, but
Yeah.
like, there's moments where oh, he's talking with Benoit Blanc and he's like, oh, I've devised this creative elaborate murder mystery game, and you're never going to be able to guess, it's so complicated. And then when they're at dinner, he just figures it out in like 15 seconds and just ruins his whole weekend. It just so good.
Yeah.
That's such an incredible part of the movie.
It's so funny. Like, I think this one, even compared to the first one, is funnier.
Yes.
Like, the
I
first one
agree. Yeah.
is the more, like, the first one obviously sets up like all the creativity with how these movies are structured and how they are uh, reversing something that you might expect from a murder mystery like this. But this one is, like, as a comedy, it's really good. Like,
Yes.
there are so many moments that it's just so funny, and these actors are so good as well. I think the people he chose to be in this movie are just delightful. And the cameos, even, like, just seeing Angela Lansbury on screen. I
Yeah.
think this was the last thing she did before she passed away last year, and like, just seeing her on screen, just playing Among Us with Benoit Blanc or whatever. Like, that's just so ridiculous, but it somehow works.
Yeah. I thought like I said before, my problem with Knives Out was that it wasn't the typical murder mystery. It was focused too. I thought it was too heavily focused on Anna de Armas, which I kind of understand. Like you kind of have to, like, you need a way to sell the movie, and
Mhm.
like, of course, Anna de Armas is phenomenal actress, and she's also very pretty. So I feel like,
Mhm.
oh, perfect way to just like make sure that this movie does great is just putting a pretty phenomenal actress in the spotlight. But like this, I like that this was focused on Benoit Blanc. Like I like
Mm.
that he was the main character of the story, and even when we switch over to Monet's character, he still kind of feels like the main character, obviously. Which I like to see the way that he figures out things, like when he's explaining like what's his name's an actual idiot. It's perfect
Yeah.
because like it makes total sense, like you said before, like when they do the recap of everything stupid he's said, he's like, he's not a genius, he's just a plain old idiot. I'm like,
Yeah, he just happens to have a lot of money.
yeah, and the fact that he literally stole the idea from Benoit Blanc about the whole thing, like the turning the lights off at a certain
Yeah.
time, was perfect. Like I expected it, but it's not the way that I expected it. You know, but
Mhm.
oh man, it was
And
great.
that whole reveal of stealing his ideas from Benoit Blanc was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really really great. Um,
And also, like, Daniel Craig is just having so much fun with this role. Like, he was stuck doing, a very serious version of Bond for 15 years or whatever, and,
mhm,
and, and in this it just feels like he gets to let loose and just be quirky and weird.
yeah,
And like this character has some quirks to it. Like the fact that he has that incredible, like, very old timey like swimsuit, that is also like a shirt, and he
yeah,
doesn't take it off when
yeah.
he's in the swimming pool, and he has the little handkerchief. Like, he's so unique. It kind of reminds me. I don't know if you guys saw that movie by Steven Soderbergh a few years ago. It was 2017 or whatever. Logan Lucky,
I did not.
where whatever. It's a heist movie by Soderbergh. It's really good. But like in that movie, he also puts Daniel Craig in a weird role where he just gets to be this insane character. He in that one he plays this guy who's in prison and they break him out of prison to pull off a heist or whatever. But he has like blonde hair and like bleached blonde hair and full of tattoos, and he gets to go completely wild. And I like seeing this side of him because, like, he was stuck being such a serious character before, and now he just gets to let loose and be weird, which I enjoy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have.
I honestly did not think. Sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I honestly did not think that Daniel Craig. I didn't know he had those kind of acting chops
Yeah.
on him. Because all I had seen him in was as James Bond, which he does good in that role. But like you said, it's not. It's a very serious role. It's a very played straight role, and seeing him
Yeah.
in this comedy role where he gets to just be insane is incredible.
Yeah, I I'm gonna say something controversial here. I kind of prefer him in the comedic roles.
Yeah.
Like,
No, he's great.
I,
He's great in
yeah, I
this type of
agree.
role.
Actually,
like I for me, getting off track here, but for me, like he did not do a great James Bond. From like I haven't seen any of his James Bond movies just because I thought he was boring. But
I
like,
mean, I do like those movies quite a lot. I think he's very good in them, but certainly doesn't get to like flex the acting as much. He's a
right,
very cold, calculated character in that, which
exactly.
is like he's good at that, but it's fun. Like I
He's got
think
so much
he's
more.
having fun with this. Like it really feels like the sets for these Knives Out movies that Ryan Johnson is writing is just like actors getting together on a weird location and like
Having a
getting
good
to
time.
have fun,
Yeah,
just like being weird and being a bit over the top, but in a way that is consistent. Like it's not like, oh, Benoit Blanc is super over the top, so the whole movie falls apart because he seems ridiculous. No, because like all the characters are just a smidge heightened from reality. You know, they're just a
Yeah.
tiny bit too exaggerated in a way that makes them entertaining to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're never like competing for screen space. They're all the same level of kind of um, caricatures as each other. And I think Glass Onion, does a better job at that kind of goofy characterization than Knives Out does for sure.
Yeah.
Like Dave Bautista's character is just an all timer. It's like Glass Onion. It's incredible.
And he's like kind of just playing a Joe Rogan type,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like with the
Yeah.
gun and it's funny. Like it's very funny. The one thing for me about this movie is like it's kind of structurally a bit similar to the first one, and I think Ryan Johnson has already said that the third one will be a bit different from the first two in terms of like maybe it won't be just one location, maybe it won't be just a big cast all in one place, solving a murder. Maybe we'll see him, actually investigating like a murder case out in the world, collaborating with a police department or whatever, more like a
Yeah.
how like
Yeah.
he always talks about, oh, these stories are come from my love of Agatha Christie books and characters like Poirot and Sherlock Holmes and that kind of thing. And those stories, the most famous ones are set in one location and they have all these suspects, but there's also other stories where they go investigate out in the field and stuff. And I wonder if they'll do that with this. I don't know.
The thing that comes to my mind that has probably done it perfectly is Sherlock. Just like
The series, you mean?
yes, the series with trying to blank.
Benedict Cumberbatch, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. I think every episode is like maybe an hour 15 minutes long, and it somehow never ceases to amaze me. Like the
Yeah, especially the first few seasons. Like,
yes,
so good.
like just sheer brilliance of that show entirety is just, oh my god, so spectacular. So I would love to see that just like on a big screen. Like, yeah, change it up a little bit. Let's have him, like you said, Hugo, let's have him do a crime scene collaborating with the police. Just it would be perfect. I honestly think if he does it right, which I feel like he is on the right track of
Especially because, like, to me, if you have Ryan Johnson doing a movie where he's dealing with like police officers, like the police officers are gonna be bumbling idiots in that movie,
yes, and that's exactly what we need.
And Benoit Blanc is just gonna be running circles around them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have here the next question is, what was the favorite moment of yours? And I think we kind of already touched on our favorite moment, which is
we went through
a
few. I certainly did like one thing I didn't mention is like the flashbacks where Edward Norton is wearing these ridiculous costumes from the early 90s where he just looks ridiculous
with the hair too. It's just
with the hair. Yeah. He's actually like, that's actually like a quote from a movie by Paul Thomas Anderson where Tom Cruise was playing like a dating coach type guy. You know how these like very toxic, how to get like 15 women to sleep with you in one night, these types of people. And he was dressed exactly like him, so it was a quote to that. It was pretty funny. So all those moments where the movie kind of flashed to something else. I think it actually uses flashback in a very interesting way where sometimes flashbacks can feel just like a boring way to tell a story.
Right.
And in this one, the flashbacks are always big reveals.
Yeah.
They're showing you something that, it recontextualizes stuff you've seen before in the movie. So that worked a lot for me. And other than that, gay Benoit Blanc, whose husband is, what's his name? Hugh Grant. Is just perfect. Excellent.
Perfect.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Christian is again in the chat and he says Johnson will bring back the brick era investigation.
I'd be down.
I don't know what that means.
With Benoit Blanc, though.
So, I haven't watched Brick yet. Maybe I should watch that tonight.
Brick is pretty good. Brick is good.
Okay, I'll have to check that out as well. Obviously, I didn't realize that. I kind of realized that there was going to be a third movie in the franchise, but I didn't realize like it has already been announced and talked about. Not announced, but like talked about. So I'm assuming, yeah, we'll see more Benoit Blanc. I think. So a while ago, I want to say the Murder on the Nile and Murder on what was the one before that?
Death on the Nile, I think.
Death on the Nile, and
Yeah.
then Murder on the. There was a train one.
Orient Express.
Yeah, Murder on the Orient Express and then Death on
I was
the
gonna say
Nile.
Murder on the Polar Express. I'm kind of glad. It is.
No, we do not have to think about Polar Express.
Yeah, please no, please
Oh
no.
God.
I haven't seen Murder on the Orient Express, but I did see Death on the Nile, and I gotta say, the comparison between the two, Jesus Christ, I feel like Death on the Nile was like, wow, it was really not good. Like it wasn't a great murder mystery.
Like, those movies are just, I think, a bit of a mess in terms of writing. I think the bones of it are probably obviously solid because they are
Yeah.
the Agatha Christie books.
Yes.
So like,
yes.
there would be no Knives Out without those. But like, they just kind of feel like stories that you've seen 100 times.
Yeah.
You know, like you there's nothing those movies can do to surprise you in any way. Whereas
I think that's the kicker too, is we kind of have seen them hundreds of times, even if you haven't seen them themselves. Like every mystery author, even like things that aren't traditionally mystery, take inspiration from Agatha Christie. So it's like hard.
Yeah.
yeah, and to go back and like straight up redo just the actual Agatha Christie story, you gotta put some spin on it. Otherwise, it's just not. It's just whatever. Yeah, we get it. He solves the mystery at the end. Like,
Yeah.
and I think the fact that these movies with Ryan Johnson and Benoit Blanc are taking that structure but putting it in a modern setting is what gives them a boost over those movies that are always, you know, period pieces. And because this one can do commentary on stuff that wouldn't make sense to do in a Poirot movie. And so
Yeah, but it's interesting because they do bring it into the present era, but it also, like, Benoit Blanc as a character is kind of stuck in the past, which is
he feels
great
like
balance. Yeah.
It's true. Like he's very much like an analog character in a digital age, like,
which I'm okay with.
for sure.
I'm definitely okay
absolutely.
with that. Yep, go for it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, to bring into things that are strange to talk about, like Agatha Christie as the big inspiration for Knives Out and Glass Onion, especially when we bring into this very driven home glass onion metaphor, which just constantly talked about in the last half of that movie, or the third act of that movie, was this completely clear mystery at the center of it all. Is a fun way to play with the very traditional formulaic stuff we've all grown accustomed to, all the stuff we know about in a mystery movie, and using that glass onion metaphor as a like foil for the movie was a fun way to also change the way we think that kind of stuff too.
And it's like, and it works on multiple levels as well, because like it's like the obvious mystery at the center that ultimately isn't the point of the whole thing, but it's also like, you know, the big pompous rich billionaire, but ultimately all that he's built is just a piece of glass. It's like it can shatter in a second because it's all built on nothing. Yeah, it was like a cool image. It's such a shame that it's called a Glass Onion and Knives Out mystery.
It's so stupid.
Honestly,
it's such a bad name. It's like when the Legend of Korra came out, and they were calling it The Last Airbender: The Legend of Korra. It's such a
Shut up.
stupid.
Yeah, just
leave it what it is, you know.
Yeah.
I for one am just gonna keep calling it Glass Onion because it's just a way better title. The last thing I will ask of you guys is I have put our rating scale, our new rating scale, into the doc. I want you to do me a favor and tell me what you would rate this movie.
I have it at a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterbox, so
Okay.
it would be a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Amazing on your scale, I guess.
All right.
I also have it as a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I would, on your rating scale, I'd also make it a 9 out of 10. An amazing movie.
Wow.
Probably somewhere between 8 and 9 for sure, but closer to 9.
Okay. I have it. I do not have it on Letterbox. I really got to start working on my Letterbox. But if I did have it on Letterbox, it would be a 5 out of 5 for me.
So you really, really enjoyed this?
I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, I was very surprised.
More than the first one, yeah?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm gonna put it as 10, incredible, but we'll leave it as a 9.5, just to balance it out. So, all right. With that being said, do we have any final thoughts before we close out the show?
Ryan Johnson is the best, and The Last Jedi fucks, and yeah, that's my take.
I will say this movie definitely gave me some more things to think about when it comes to Ryan Johnson. Like maybe he does have some talent, you know. Like I don't know about the.
He's the best.
I don't know about that Star Wars
He's made
comment.
he's made 5 great movies and one that is whatever. The Brothers Bloom is a weird movie that
okay.
it's whatever.
Okay.
Nobody's seen that one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Tristan, any final thoughts?
No. Benoit Blanc is just like me for real, going through an existential crisis.
Okay.
But that's it.
All right. Go see this movie if you haven't seen it. It's probably
For sure, watch it.
It's on Netflix, obviously. Don't try to look for it in theaters because Netflix is like, this movie wasn't in theaters at all. What are you talking about? Yeah, go check it out.
Even the box office numbers we got were estimates by other people because Netflix wouldn't release the numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because apparently the movie did so well that it would make them look stupid for not leaving it in theaters, so they didn't want the numbers to be out.
Of course.
For the public.
Netflix gaslighting, gatekeeping, and girl bossing they work through.
Yeah, to bankruptcy though. That's the
yes, absolutely. Yeah, I got nothing left to say. Netflix. Oh, one last question. I'm sorry. Do you think for the next movie, Netflix will make the same stupid decision to put it in out in theaters for a week and then pull it?
Assuming Netflix is even around like 2024, 2025? Absolutely, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it depends what happens because Netflix, they can't keep losing money like they are now. Like,
They're
if
putting out
that's
video
still
games now, Hugo. I don't know if you know this.
sure, who's playing those? Or like
These are all games that have already come out. That's the problem.
Yeah, the game's released and they're like, "Ooh, I want that one."
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think Netflix will have to rethink some of this big business strategy, and so maybe by 2025 there might potentially be a difference, but I really don't know. I honestly I think we're at a weird moment where all the streaming services are in trouble by themselves. Like they just cannot make money. The only one that actually makes sense is Disney Plus because it's like they don't actually have that much content. Like when you think about it, compared to a Netflix, Disney Plus releases one ongoing show a month at most.
But the thing about Disney Plus is that just because Disney Plus doesn't put out only puts out one show a month or a quarter or whatever. Yeah. It's got the back catalog, the vault, everything from the vault.
But aside from that, like the back catalog, like I'm just talking about the money you're investing in the service.
Yes.
Like Netflix is putting out 10 shows a month and nobody knows even what they are. And Disney Plus is putting out an episode a week, but a bunch of people are watching those. To whatever you think about, the amount of Marvel content, which I think is too much, but that's besides the point. Like from a business point, is like we have our big movies that go in theaters and make a bunch of money, and then we have the smaller things, but it's just you're investing in one episode a week rather than 25.
Yeah.
And so it makes more sense. Whereas the HBO Max and Netflix and Amazon and Apple have so much content that I just don't understand how they're going to keep operating like this. I think it is going to change, and hopefully that means we get Knives Out in theaters, but we'll see.
So the thing about HBO Max, yes, it did like not making a lot of money, but I think it was close to being as good as Disney Plus in the sense of like they're
Like even better, I think, in terms of like,
Yeah,
the quality
because-
of what they're putting out. But
exactly.
like $3 billion they lost in 1 year. That's crazy. You know,
I-
and obviously the company got bought out, and
Yeah.
there was a whole thing going on. But like,
Do we
you
know
know,
if
you can't-
if the movies that they canceled and the TV shows that they canceled, does that also count into the money, the $3 million?
no, that's like that was an article from end of last year that was specifically only about streaming.
Oh,
Like
fuck.
the HBO Max
All right,
service,
fuck.
it lost $3 billion, and that money is being recouped by whatever. Like Dune made 400 million worldwide, and you know whatever money you can make with the DC movies.
Yeah.
But like, still, it just doesn't.
And the craziest thing is that we know that number. Netflix, we don't know anything about Netflix's
No.
actual losses or revenue because they will not
No.
talk about it
Of course
at
not.
all.
No, Netflix is. We know it's losing money. We know it's losing subscribers, but they don't release numbers necessarily. So
They
I don't know.
just
It's unclear.
do price hikes. That's it.
But it's like basically what's been happening over the years is like Netflix has always operated as a loss in terms of how much money they put into their shows and how much money they make back from subscriptions. But then its stock prices were so high because it was the biggest streaming service forever
Yeah.
that it didn't matter because it was making money with stocks even though it was losing with production. But now that's not true anymore because there's other players that are as big or if not bigger. So it's now there's so many of them, and nobody can subscribe to all of them, and they're just gonna start eating each other. I don't know. It seems
watch me.
crazy.
Just watch me, Hugo.
And it's and then there's just me. I just want to go to the theater and watch a movie. You know,
Yeah, I
I all
honestly,
this streaming bullshit.
I think we're gonna have to have you back on, Hugo, for that conversation because
Sure.
I'm sure we've had it multiple times, but like it's difficult for me to sit at home and watch a movie on screen. Like the menu, I would have much preferred to watch this movie in theaters because I know it's gonna happen. I'm gonna sit on the couch. Something on my phone is gonna light up. And I'm going to be paying attention to it, but I'm not really going to be paying attention to it. And then I'm going to have to rewind, and it's a whole thing. You know, like, at least with theaters, I could sit back, turn off my phone, and fucking just stare at a screen, you know?
Yeah.
But with that being said, Hugo, where can people find you?
You can find me at Jesus Christ Hugo_Pinay is my
Yes,
Twitter, and
yes.
Hugo Pinay on Letterboxd, which is more interesting than my Twitter, I think.
Okay, all right.
And of course, you can listen to Large Popcorn, which we just
Don't
recorded.
promote that show on this.
And next episode is we're going through the release schedule for 2023 movies and also talking about the first Mission Impossible movie.
Oh, yeah. All right. You got me back in. You got me back in. Tristan, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find my Twitter account where I mostly just shitpost at Treemoth with 3 E's. My letterbox is Trimmour, Trimmour. Yeah.
All right. And of course, you can find me here tomorrow at 7 p.m. to discuss HBO's The Last of Us Episode 1. I'm very excited. I'm pretty sure it's happening within an hour. I think at 8 o'clock tonight. Hugo, you should know.
I'm
I
not
saw
watching it.
9
keep saying this
Eastern.
together.
9 Eastern? Okay. All right. So 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's fine. It gives me time to make some...
Yeah, you were close.
Yeah. Gives me some time to make some dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I would
Thanks
love
for
to
having
have
us.
you guys back
Having
on.
us.
You know,
Sure.
Tristan, I hope you had a really good time today, and I would love to have you back on. Hugo,
Yeah, this is
you're in the
great.
spiel, you know.
Mhm.
With that being said, thanks again, gentlemen, for joining me.